Thanks God it's Friday, which means another good opportunity to talk digital. Welcome to our today's show and thank you for tuning in. Before I welcome our today's special guest, I would like to send my regards to Mallorca. Hi Chara, hi Gerhard. Thank you for supporting and making this possible. Today we are focusing our spotlight on a field of technology that has already moved a great many minds and made some politicians and even more journalists very nervous. The blockchain technology. Of course, we are not alone in this field. We have also invited the most competent help, Professor Katharina Adam from Berlin, who is also the chairperson of the Blockchain Association, along with a few others. Welcome, Katharina.
Thank you so much for having me. Welcome, Sven, and it's a pleasure for me staying here with you and having a talk about blockchain.
The pleasure is on our side. Great that you made it possible to show up here and help us a little bit with this fascinating technology, of course. Yeah. But before we start to talk about blockchain, of course, apart from blockchain, and of course, apart the fact that we both are professors at the same university in Berlin, please, would you like to tell us something about yourself? What are you doing, and what are your special areas of interest?
Yes, thank you so much. As you said, we are at the same university, and I do lectures in corporate finance as well as in strategy development. And I think it's very obvious that blockchain is one of my favorite topics because it is combining these two things. So very interesting. And what I'm doing, I do lecture, I do blockchain business development with students. So I give them use cases where we start to look into, and we want to find out, does it really make sense to implement a blockchain? Can we make processes more efficient, more smarter, more smoother, or is this just a fake what we're talking about? And that's what I'm doing with the students. And in this semester we are talking about security app we want to install, or we want to check out how cybersecurity can attack businesses, and if could a blockchain solution help here in this field. The second one is a fire brigade app, where we're talking about how can a fire brigade be supported by information they already do not have, and how can a blockchain can help to support things, and so on. And the third one is I collaborate here in this field with two other universities, one from Miami and one from New Zealand. And we want to set up an environment where we look for small state and funding. We want to create a token environment, and we want to figure out how they can raise money for litigation issues. And that's what we're going to do this semester.
I know, sounds exciting. Yes, but before we go into details, of course, the problem with many of the with many of the technologies, new technologies, is of course that we always have a Babylonian language as soon as they appear. So talking about blockchain as something that's the currency to buy some weapons or drugs on the darknet. Other thing that's the way to become very, very wealthy in a quick way. But I think both of these views are not totally right. Can you help our viewers with a little introduction into what is blockchain? How can we describe it? How can we describe it in simple words first?
Simple words like to say blockchain technology can be seen as a distributed ledger, which stores transaction details in a form of immutable records on blocks. So we can secure them, and we will using cryptography. And so the overall package secures that what is stored on the blockchain cannot be manipulated or deleted or anything like this. And that makes it, for some businesses, for some processes, very interesting.
So that's the dream of all people since quite a while who are involved in documentation, a document which can't be manipulated. Great, yeah? That should have been available also already in the medieval age, yeah, of course. One thing when people are discussing blockchain, one thing which appears sooner or later is always the keyword trust. It's always dealing with trust, believing in central banks, believing in other peoples, believing in an anonymous mass of people. Yeah, can you help us a little bit and explain why is trust such an important aspect when we're talking about blockchain technology?
Maybe I'm a bit, I put a controversy right now on the table because the majority of people start to talk about blockchain equals trust. And I would like to say, be careful with this. So what do we feel? What is trust about? You know, Sven, you and I, we know each other, and I would like to say somehow we trust each other, at least in some ways. But how was that trust built? It was built on a personal relationship. So and this is what a technology cannot overcome. What can a technology serve? What can a technology bring in this field of trust? So when you have several parties and working on a contract or on I don't know, a business or whatever, how do you really know that you can trust them what they are doing? Again, I strongly believe that trust and the way we interpret this has to be built up by human beings, and it can't be done by a technology. But that trust we are talking in terms of blockchain is a different angle of talking about trust. So it is not necessary any longer that we really have to check every document, because as we said before, it is immutable. So we can trust that once it is written on that document, stored on a blockchain, in a block, it can't be manipulated anymore because this is instantly visible, and that creates trust. So what we once negotiated, it is stored on that blockchain, and then we now can move on. But before we get contracts on that blockchain, we need to understand how trust, trust between human beings is built up or was.
No, this is by proof, for example. Yes, of course. Maybe we can go to one of these examples where blockchain technology has some impact, and to demonstrate how trust is really helpful. Of course, we have these newly phenomenon of decentralized electricity production. And it's not only decentralized electricity production because of windmills and solar panels and stuff, it is also maybe decentralized consumption of electricity. And of course, there are some institutions in between, but many of these institutions are not really trustworthy. At least some people have doubts about them. So some people suggested to use a blockchain solution to solve that problem. What do you think about that? Can you describe to our viewers a little bit about this example, and what is the specific aspect of blockchain in this particular case?
Again, it's not only one aspect, there are several aspects.
Even better, yeah.
There's a bit more than just only one aspect. So I would like to say one of the most prominent example is what we have seen in Manhattan. There was Grid Singularity. It is a startup based also in Vienna, and they went to New York. They they organized that solar panels on the roof, they generated electricity. And how can you assure that who is going to consume that kind of electricity, and who is charged for this, and who get the fee? So, and this, no, we have, and that's what the energy market is about. We have parties in that, and we are not really somehow connected with each other. There are some institution, as you said, they rule the game. They give us the regulation, how we have to do and how we have to, how we should be charged, and we have to take it as it is. And now, when we are seeing that the renewable energies, like also solar panels on our roof, how can we make sure that what we put into the market, that it's really that we make transparency, we bring transparency into the market to show who produced it and who is going to consume that, and how could this be charged. So several aspects are in, and we now could dive into every detail to check out where make blockchain solution, where is it useful or where is it just hindering the whole process. And that has to be done by diving deep into the processes and get an understanding what can be backed up by a blockchain solution, or maybe also where, let's say, a common SQL database might be fit better into the system. That's what always should be analyzed.
So you're going to tell me that if we would use this blockchain technology, I can just check who used the electricity which was created, which was gained on my rooftop?
Who is going to use that? You can see, yeah, who is going to ask for the amount of, and you will not know
Right.
that person, yeah, because what we do, we are going to use cryptography, so you do not know. Well, this is my neighbor,
Okay.
and tonight she needs a bit more electricity because of what? Huh? What's going on there? You might probably want to spy her. No, that is not possible. But you get an idea of who is going, and then who you can charge. So, and this is done with the so-called cryptography elements which are in blockchain.
Interesting. No, that's a nice perspective. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, this is, and I'm looking forward to see that. The next example I would like to talk to about with you is I know not really your favorite example, and maybe there are several reasons why it is not your favorite example, but I think our viewers should also know something about let's say, experiments or applications which were not that exactly positive. Yeah, and I'm talking about land registration on blockchain. I know at the beginning of blockchain technology, when it spread it around, it was one of those ideas to say, okay, for countries like Greece or maybe Honduras, where there's actually no land registration installed. Because of whatever reasons, but they would love to have some possibilities to really register land to make sure that people who work on the land, who own the land, really keep on owning the land on the long side. However, can you tell our viewers a little bit about these example and maybe also where exactly the problem is of implementation? I guess it's not a real technology problem, yeah?
It is not the technology problem. The implementation is based on who now is confronted with transparency. So what you mentioned Honduras as an example, and I like to refer to that. They implemented, they did it quick and fast. And it turned out that the people who are working in that field, let's say in the registration offices and so on, yeah, the transparency is a problem for them because probably corruption is quite a little bit more common in a country like this. And you can't be corrupt any longer if you have such system, in your registration offices. And then that was one of the reasons why they said, yeah, pretty good idea. We like it, but we go back to our old system. So, and that's what is happening. So we have to understand we also need a shift in the mindset. What are the positive aspects, but bringing this in one, let's say, single area just to make things more transparent. There is in countries like Honduras, it is really hard and difficult because who owns the country, who wants to set the claim on that, and who is not really willing to share what somehow belongs to them. And blockchain bring in that transparency, and this is very often not wanted. So what is the result? We also, me myself, I also made a proposal towards the Finanzministerium here in Germany, and I never will forget that, and I went to them and I introduced what I wanted to do with them, and never ever I will forget how that guy looked at me, and we sat in front of a table, he grabbed the table and he said, how do you dare? How do you dare to come up with such a revolutionary idea. That's a no-go. And that was really, it was in 2016, so not so long ago, but there is a shift in mindset right now visible, and they start to think about probably it could be an idea. But we have a federal system here in Germany. The nicety is that we only have two main software packages which are working together with all the federal offices, but we need to bring it to the overall understanding that it could be helpful. And right now it's like, well, we have other problems, not that is not a real issue. It is working so well in Germany. Why should we implement a blockchain solution? It makes no sense from our perspective. And that's it. Sometimes with blockchain, you are too early if you are going to explain new business ideas. Sometimes it's too early and people cannot get it.
So what you're talking about, or what you mentioned, are two typical examples which we are facing often when we're talking about digitalization projects, of course. One thing is, if there is an existing system, and typically we have existing systems to what quality whatsoever, but if these systems are then under threat to be exchanged by a completely unknown innovative technology, of course, people start to think about better stop that. And the second big problem is, of course, always at the same time a big advantage, but transparency is often not only a big advantage for some people, but also always a big disadvantage for others. Yeah, and not everybody loves to others to be able to look in its card in its deck. Yeah, of course. Thank you for
But
that. Yeah.
I think
And
only
yeah.
so, then to interrupt you, I think it's not only that we can talk about transparency. What we should also take into account while talking about how to apply a blockchain in a useful context. We talked about trust, and trust I would like to refer to data. So what kind of data do we use right now in our daily businesses? And here, I think you see we have tons of opportunities, because today we need to trust that these data will be handled with care. And if I would back this up by a clever, smart blockchain solution, I think we can create a benefit for all participants. I would like to give you an example. Just we are now in the pandemic situation. We sit at home, we sit in front of our laptops and doing all this. And probably you will also be thrilled by the announcement of this Monday that there is a vaccine, and in very few time it will be overcome, that we will not suffer so much under the COVID-19. So, but we also heard that the vaccine must be stored by minus 80 degrees. Yeah? So, and who is really prepared for storing that kind of vaccine by minus 80 degrees? So we need a supply chain, we need a distribution system where we really can assure that this is done. How can this be done? Isn't there kind of a likelihood that people maybe want to somehow manipulate things? I just can tell you there are a lot of scenarios. Probably that's not the first one you take into account, but there are a lot of scenarios, especially when you talk about supply chain and the insurance companies. Who is going to pay if something is, for instance, take that example. The supply chain was not 100% fully with minus 80 degrees. So who has to pay that some a batch is not useful? You have to destroy that. Who has to pay? The producer, BioNTech, or is this the distribution service? Is this I don't know. Who has to pay? Which insurance has to step in and has to pay for that? And that's the part when we can show, when we can track things, we can bring transparency again into, and then we can ensure that we especially, or at least we know where that mistake happened.
Of course, that's not long before COVID. Of course, not only with COVID, we have these interesting discussions often where we say, okay, where are the spare parts from? Are we using spare parts to build in airplanes? Do these spare parts are really produced, or are these really original ones? Or are we talking about some fake stuff? Or if we are talking about nutrition already, so indeed, was it always right temperatured? And then, of course, it's very difficult to follow up unless it is automatically documented. That's definitely a use case. I have another use case which I was thinking about when we are talking, since we are both working at the same university. One of these famous things we are doing is we are producing diplomas, and people are proving that they learned, for example, blockchain technology from us. But in the past, sometimes people tried to save some time and did not like to spend hours in our university rather than producing their diplomas on their own. That's a really difficult thing because it's comparable easy to produce them on your own. Do you have an idea how to use blockchain to prevent these kind of fake?
Yeah, there is still there are some let's say researchers working on that, and for instance the Mittweida University, and I'm a part of that. We try to figure out, not we try, we want to figure out how to make it. And it is possible to to store the grades you received while running through specific courses, that you can store that on a blockchain. At least that you will, the final document which is generated, that you then store that on a blockchain, and you get a QR code. And for instance, an employer, they can check via QR code whether that certificate an applicant brought in is a real one, yes or no, because then you can directly refer to what is stored on the blockchain of a university. Does it make sense? Is this correct? Or yes or no? Because you are right, Sven, it is really pretty easy to fake your grades. We have already tested that, and it is. You just have to buy the right font size, the right fonts, and then put it in. And with a bit of effort, it is possible to fake all these certificates. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of universities are working on that, because for the students who really put a lot of effort into their studies, they are somehow, it's not fair towards them. And that's the reason why fairness is also part, and that could deliver a good solution.
That's the story about trust and transparency. Yes, some do get benefits out of it, some others lose, of course. Yeah, but we want the right people to benefit. Yeah. Okay, another completely different topic is just like always when new technologies appear, also people start to think about the big disadvantages. And it was very surprising for me at that time, but then people started to claim that blockchain technology will contribute significantly to the global warming. Is this true?
It depends on whom you're going to ask. So there are people who are going to tell you, well, because of the energy we are going to use for the mining, it is not located in, let's say, Europe, because here energy is really expensive. So you can go to areas where it is not that expensive. But in total, we have to say that the consumption for a transaction is too expensive, honestly, for just transfer a Bitcoin from A to B. So there is an institution, it's called Cambridge Bitcoin Electricity Consumption Index, and they are always telling you how much you are going to use while doing all the stuff on the Bitcoin blockchain. And I think the majority of people, they are aware of that this is a problem. And we have to invent something new, but the community is we are working on that. It's not that we do not know that problem. And so other companies, like not only the core Bitcoin blockchain, other blockchains are in the market and they don't need that much electricity. So therefore, it's not a problem which we cannot solve. I would like to put it aside and say, yes, you are right, which belongs to the Bitcoin blockchain, but there are the other opportunities which are already available on the market. They are much smaller and they do not consume that electricity. So for all guys who are thinking about using a blockchain technology and their business process, you are highly welcome. Don't be afraid of having such a mass and consumption, energy consumption. It is possible to make it in a much smarter way.
Okay. Yeah, that's something we learned. So there's a problem, but immediately we have an innovative solution. I like that very much. Yeah. Katharina, it's a big tradition with our little program here to offer our guests a 60-second slot at the end of the broadcast so that they can use for their specific things, whatever they would always love to tell the people, what they always love to tell the people, or to promise the people, whatever. For example, I've heard you published recently a book. Would you like to talk about some of these aspects in the next 60 seconds?
Oh, I don't know whether this is enough for 60 seconds, but yes, I would like to. The book is about business processes. And again, I'm highly convinced that not all and every process needs to be backed up by a blockchain solution. So you first have to find out where is your pain point in business and what are the problems you really want to solve. And maybe there are existing, let's say, databases which fit much better than a blockchain solution. But this is what you need to find out. And please don't use blockchain as a fig leaf. It is much better than just only a fig leaf. It is full of excitement and you can explore every single day so many good, nice opportunities. And I just want to invite the audience there. So dive into and give yourself a chance finding out more about blockchain and how to implement it in business processes. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, and so maybe those of our viewers who would like to get some further information, there is a book where you can do so. And of course, it's an important last message. The new technology does not solve every problem. And indeed, if you have bad processes, work on the processes before you start to use technology to improve them. Because if you improve bad processes with technology, then you have high-tech bad processes. Thank you very much, Katharina. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It was my
And
yes. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for making it possible, of course. And please tune in again Friday, next Friday for the next Friday chill out. Thank you very much and have a good day. Stay healthy, please.
Bye bye, and the same to you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.